Listen to your heart, tell me who you wanna be. We can always start to believe. Listen to your heart, tell me that you understand, 'cause you are the one for me. If you just believe, 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 if you just believe,
Yes, people, welcome back to another late night chat live podcast, my favorite show that I do every single week, multiple times a week. So I do look forward to this one. It's been a couple days, a couple things have happened, a couple results. City have obviously played and won. Arsenal smashed West Ham today. Liverpool patterned up Burnley, but we're going to talk about it all. And then there's, of course, there is the quotes from Kalvin Phillips. I was a little bit disappointed with Kalvin Phillips, but we'll get into the ins and outs of that. But listen, first things first, make sure you hit that like button, that big thumbs up right down below me and Joe. It's free to do, and it massively helps. The goal is always 50. Let's see how fast we can hit 50. If we can hit 50 at all, it's all down to you. And subscribe if you're new around here. We're about 50 subscribers away from 7K. And if you want to be a channel member, Joe's going to put a link in the chat right now. Who have we got into the building? We've got Briggsy. Briggsy's off to Copenhagen. We play Copenhagen, of course, on Tuesday. We'll probably chat about that. What day is today? Sunday. We're going to chat about that tonight because we won't be live tomorrow. Good luck in Copenhagen, though, Briggsy. Hello, Mixta, Somalia Cop, AA Witherspoon, Section, Benno. Good to see you, Benno, man. Only Blue in Village and Wayne Holness. How's it going? I'm good. Make sure you've all hit the like button, man. Let's get those likes up rapid. Anyways, let's start with City, as we are all City fans, or at least we're mostly City fans. 2-0 over Everton, an ugly game of football. For those of you who watch my review on City Extra, you'd probably know my condensed thoughts, but we're gonna dive into it a bit deeper over this stream a bit. A horrible game of football. Everton made it really difficult for us, and I was nervous that we weren't gonna get that moment that Haaland got his first goal with, that kind of moment of magic. He was fairly out of the game up until then, wasn't he? But look, when it comes to these title races, you have to learn how to win ugly. Like, you can't win pretty every time. You're not going to have those heroic 3-2s over Newcastles or those games against Burnley where it's kind of straightforward. Like, you're going to have to learn, or not learn because this team knows how to do it, but we have to be willing to dig deep and win ugly like we did against Everton. So, like, going into it, to be honest, Joe, I didn't actually care whether it was 1-0 or 10-0. I was just like, yo, get these 3 points, man.
Yeah, I mean, to anyone who watched my review, it seems like we must have been saying the same things. Like, it's an ugly win, but an ugly win's a good win because it's a sign of champions. And it's like a championship mentality sort of thing where, if you can win games where you don't play well, that's a bonus. That's 3 extra points. We were staring down the barrel of a 0-0 because, I mean, if we're being honest, Everton didn't really trouble, did they? They didn't really do too much going forward. I thought we defended quite well, a clean sheet, which is something that's hard to come by from us nowadays, or at least this season. So in terms of losing the game, I didn't really feel like that was there. But in terms of drawing 0-0, oh my God, there was something up. I mean, I don't know about you, but that team selection was dreadful. That team selection was absolutely dreadful. I'm sorry, I said it in my review, and I think I used, and it might be a bit harsh, but I think I used the word set up to fail. Now, maybe it's not set up to fail, because I don't believe that we would do that, but it wasn't set up to win. It was so unbalanced, the midfield, playing Foden on the wing, the defence situation where you had Akanji doing the Stones role and Stones doing the Akanji role, that sort of thing. It was just a little bit backwards and a little bit all over the place. It was like you just put 11 players on the pitch who've never played together, ever, and saw what happened. That's what it felt like. There was no chemistry, there was no nothing. In the middle of the park, we had nothing. And then when you go to the wide areas, Doku would beat his man, and then, we'd mess up the final ball. Foden barely touched the ball. Haaland pretty much didn't touch the ball. It was that sort of situation where we just did nothing. I mean, it took us 70 minutes to have a shot on target. That's almost flat out unacceptable at home to a team in the relegation zone. I know Everton are good defensively, but 70 minutes to take a shot on target, it was a hard watch. It was a hard watch. It's probably the worst we've played in a while, at least attacking wise anyway.
It was. Big up Brian Hooper, man. It's good to see you join us live. You'd say it's for the first time. Make sure you've all hit the like button. We're getting close to 50 people in the building. Let's see how fast we can hit 50 likes. That's always the goal. Benno said just before the goal, I was convinced it was ending in a draw. It did feel a bit like, I said in my own review, it felt a little bit like, I know we scored in the game that I'm about to reference, but similar vibes to the Nottingham Forest 1-1 last season, where look, we had all the possession, we dominated every single stat under the sun, but we just couldn't put the ball in the net enough times to win the game. I know, like, it was looking at a 0-0 draw for Everton, and it was a 1-1 draw for Forest, but I got similar vibes. And Everton made it ugly. Someone in the chat said that a second ago. I can't remember. I can't see who it was, but yeah, AA Witherspoon. Everton made that game ugly. They did, and was that to be expected? Yeah, to some capacity it was, because that's the way Sean Dyche plays football, isn't it? Sean Dyche was never coming to the Etihad to do what Vince and company did and attempt to somewhat go toe to toe. He was never coming to the Etihad to do what Jurgen Klopp does and go somewhat toe to toe. He was there to disrupt us. They were there to disrupt us and slow us down. And look, I don't like to criticize Pep Guardiola very often, especially not after we've won, but as you did touch on some of the tactical and personnel selections, I was baffled. And I said in my review, and I think it's a very valid point, contrast the quality and the potential output of the team that finished the game against Everton versus the team that started. The team that finished the game against Everton was so much more fluid, so much more potent, so much more aggressive, and looked like they had more answers. They had more in their locker, versus the team that started the game against Everton. Mate, we were suffering. The first one is, of course, a Kanji in the inverted role. Wrong decision. Pep, you're wrong. It's not me telling Pep he's wrong, but I felt it was wrong, in my personal opinion, because Akanji's literally just back from injury. I know Stones is somewhat too, but Stones is further down the line in his recovery and regaining fitness. So to put Akanji into that midfield role where there's a lot more running, a lot more involved, I didn't think makes sense. That's leaving aside the fact that it's the John Stones role. John Stones are simply better at it, even when they're both perfectly fit. It didn't make sense to me why Akanji was playing that role, and defensively he was actually okay from the little that Everton offered going forward, but in terms of the link-up play and, you know, being a general link man between defence and attack, which is what John Stones is able to do, and being, you know, effective in both boxes, Akanji was non-existent in that front. And that's before you talk about the actual set midfielders of Rodri, Alvarez and Nunes. It stunk to the high heavens. I don't know why Pep insists. Like, Pep Guardiola is obsessed with playing Julian Alvarez. Like, I don't get it. And I actually rate Alvarez as a footballer, but not as a midfielder. I'm sorry, no, I don't rate him as a midfielder like that. At the very start of the season, the kind of September, October period, he was excellent in output. G&A, he was getting output. But you only have to watch him, the eye test, to know he doesn't like playing in midfield. He's not a comfortable midfielder. He doesn't read the game properly like a midfielder. His first touch is dodgy at times. And he's not a creative player. Alvarez wants to be playing the role of Erling Haaland. Alvarez wants to be in and around the 6 and 18-yard box, looking for those, you know, instinctive chances where it's bang, pull the trigger straight away. He doesn't want to be winding up for long-range shots like he does more often than not. He doesn't want to be told you've got to, you know, thread passes through like a midfielder. It's not for him. I mean, what are your opinions on the Alvarez midfield thing? Like I said, this isn't me slating Alvarez. I actually rate the guy. But he's not made to be a second striker / number 10 or a number 8. It's just not for him.
It's crazy. When have you ever seen under Pep Guardiola an attacker specifically, but a player start this many games in a row? It just doesn't happen. They're obvious. They get rotated out 1 or 2 games. Alvarez is like first name on the team sheet, and it's coming at the detriment of the team. You saw today that one selection of having Alvarez in the number 10, Kevin De Bruyne's on the bench, Foden's out on the right. That one selection has massive implications on the rest of the team. The creativity goes out the window and we've got nothing. From that one selection, his first touch is poor. We're allowed to say things like this and criticise. His first touch is just poor. It's not good.
I agree.
The amount,
I agree, 100%.
The amount of times that he takes a touch, he bounces 5 yards off him, he loses the ball. He's just not a midfielder. He's not supposed to. He's not built for receiving the ball in a tight area. Same thing with the final ball, and this relates to Matheus Nunes. I think he had his worst game that he's ever had for us, and probably will ever have for us. He was absolutely horrid. But it was almost like the midfield balance was so wrong that he was never going to thrive. You look at what we struggled to do was obviously the main stat was not having a shot on target because we struggled to create anything that led to us having a shot on target. Everton have statistically one of the best defences in the Premier League. That is, that is their stick. That is their thing. Their thing is having a good defence. We know that from Sean Dyche. Sean Dyche has always had, a solid, a robust defensive team that, they might play long balls and set pieces and, get ugly wins. But that's how he plays. He plays solid defensive football. And we decided to have our two most advanced midfielders in Núñez and Alvarez. Both of them, their weakness is final ball. And we decided to play those two against one of the best defences in the Premier League. That was where it goes wrong, and that relates to the Alvarez in number 10. In games like this, he's not good in the number 10 because he has to try and pick a pass, which is not something he's good at.
Mm-hmm. It blows my mind. It really does blow my mind. And I'll get on to the Foden thing because it is interlinked to Phil Foden. But we're 14 likes off the goal of 50. We could set a new record of hitting 50 likes in 15 minutes if there's 55 in the building, if 14 of you hit the like button. So smash the like button. Let's get to the goal of 50. But yeah, look, I don't rate Alvarez in midfield. I do agree with you. I think his touch is... It's not good enough. It's not good enough for a midfielder. Like, if you're a midfielder for Manchester City, the best team in the world, your first touch has to be on point every time because we are all about keeping the ball, all about ball retention, and all about quick moving of the ball. It's not his forte. Finishing is Alvarez's forte. He wants to be further up the pitch, closer to goal. With Matheus Núñez, I agree. I think he struggled. It wasn't his best game, but I'm not disheartened by the Matheus Núñez sort of below par performance because we've seen better from Matheus Núñez. It's not as if this is the bar he set for himself ages ago and he's been consistently poor. We know there's better from Matheus Núñez, and in his first season at City, and he's playing beside Alvarez, which doesn't make it much easier for him. I give him the leeway, so I'm not ready to really clamp down on Matheus Núñez too much because, like I say, he has been excellent, but why play both of those two in midfield and Phil Foden out in the right when Phil Foden has been literally, in my opinion, the best player in the Premier League for a few months now, consistently, week in, week out, centrally, absolutely excellent, both in terms of output and efficiency on the ball. Stats, eye test, whatever way you want to look at it, Phil Foden has been exceptional. And then he's moved out to the right, like... I'm not one to really criticize Pep because who the fuck am I to criticize Pep? But it just blew my mind a bit. I was like, why fix something or change something that's not broken? Foden in the middle, even Foden beside Alvarez or Foden beside Núñez would have made more sense to me. But not both of them with Foden out in the wing. And even with the wide role he was playing on the weekend, he was still the best, if not top three, on the pitch, in my opinion, Joe.
That's the one that baffles me the most, to be honest, is you have a guy who scored a hat-trick literally last week in this free midfield position, and you've taken him out of there, and our entire midfield's gone tits up, and he still looks like one of the best players on the pitch. It baffles me how he's managed to come to that. Now, I would understand Phil Foden playing as a touchline winger. This is like, on paper against Brentford, he was a left winger, but we know that wasn't the case. He had this free role where he was allowed to move about because Vardy was high and wide. Today it was different because we didn't have any fullbacks. We played this inverted centre-half like we did last season. So Foden had to be a touchline winger. So he wasn't allowed the freedom to move about and pick up pockets of space, which is the role that he's had that he's been very good in. I'd understand him playing that touchline role if Kevin De Bruyne is on the pitch and playing in the number 10, because we have creativity in the middle of the pitch, and then I can understand it. I'm not for 1 second saying that Pep Guardiola can't do that. I am, however, saying that he shouldn't be doing that when Kevin De Bruyne is on the bench. That shouldn't be the case. That can't happen because then we lose all creativity. And you saw it. We didn't have a shot till 70 minutes when we made the substitutions. When Kyle Walker came on and started bombing down the right and allowed Foden to move a little bit more central, Kevin De Bruyne came on the pitch. We got more creativity. We had some shots on target. That was where we won the game. And it just baffles me how it wasn't changed at half-time. I don't know how... Now, I know Pep's a man for not making subs. I know he's a man for not doing that. But how nothing was changed. How we looked at that at half-time and said, we'll give it 10 minutes. I don't know what he saw in the first half to even give it 10 minutes. I'm very surprised that he came out the same in the second half. And again, it's just weird. Like, I'm in the same boat as you. I'm not a man to be sat here telling Pep Guardiola how to manage a football team. I'm not qualified to do that. But at the same time, I'm also sat there going, it doesn't take a genius to work out some of these things. Like, why have you moved forward and out of position? Why is this happening? It's just kind of... And I don't want to be saying it like you do your review and you're like, we've just won 2-0. And it was fairly comfortable. Well, I don't want to be coming on here and going, what was that? You know what I mean? But you kind of have to, because there's just a few things that just boggle the mind and, throw a few things through a loop.
My only conclusion I can drop with regards to these kind of things is maybe he's thinking Champions League on Tuesday. Either try a few things out or rest a couple of people. De Bruyne and Walker, I suppose, give them some... don't overdo the De Bruyne return and give Walker some rest. Walker was actually good when he came on. And to be fair, I mean, who is it here says it? Benno says Walker calmed us down when he came on, which is true. I think Walker added a calming presence and was able to just, I don't know, get it moving properly, get people in order, because it all seemed a little bit chaotic and headless in the first half, and we were running out of answers really, really quickly. We are 7 likes off the goal of 50. Then we'll do our round of applause for 50 likes. So if 7 of you could hit the like button, that'd be great. And if you want to join the HMTV army, Joe, put a link in the chat there. Be like Benno there. He's a channel member. And you're massively supporting the channel. It's $3.99 a month. You're just helping the boys. And we'll make you a moderator on the channel as well. But look, we won the game, obviously, through 2 brilliant goals. I think they genuinely were 2 brilliant goals, and I was so pleased to see Erling Haaland back on the score sheet. That's why in this title, Haaland is back. We need Haaland back amongst the goals, and we kind of need it now, because look, you may say all these fixtures are winnable without Erling Haaland. Well, that one technically wasn't, but you look at them on paper and say they're all winnable without Erling Haaland, but you want Haaland to get up to speed before this crucial month. March, we have United, Arsenal, Liverpool, and Brighton, I think. Maybe Villa in there as well, possibly. You want Haaland up to speed, feeling good about himself before we go into this month. So for Haaland, even himself, just confidence-wise and getting back to that feeling of I'm the man, we needed him to score against Everton. To get 2 was fantastic. The first goal, Joe, I thought was brilliant. It was just pure striker's instinct, striker know-how, and perfect accuracy and ability to put it away. Like, he nearly burst the net, to be fair.
Yeah, Pickford got a hand on it, and it still didn't matter. He got a firm wrist to the ball, and all that it did was push it into the roof. Like, that is just sheer power. That's a clean strike of a ball. Weak foot as well. Just sheer power, striker's instinct, like you said, where he's just put his foot through it. Now, you mentioned Alvarez's strength being finishing. Had that been Julian Alvarez, I wager you that there's a very good chance that's in row Z. There's a very good chance that ball has ended up in row Z. If he tries to absolutely leather it, we know how he is sometimes when he absolutely smashes through the ball. He has a tendency to genuinely break the Earth's atmosphere and send it into space. Like, that's the sort of game when you go, Haaland has won us 3 points. You look at the 2 goals, it's 2-0. He's won us 2 points. That first goal was sort of floodgates. Everton had to come out. I mean, you saw the amount of time wasting and sitting on the floor they were doing in that game. It was an awful watch, but that's what they were trying to do. That was the game plan, to try and win ugly. And then as soon as we go 1-0 up, they stopped doing that. They try to play, they come out their shell a little bit more, knowing that they have to get a goal. And that's kind of where the second one comes from, because there's a bit of space, 1 ball over the top, it's a 50-50. Again, proper centre-forward play. He's got a 50-50 shoulder charge with the defender and he knocks him over. That's just strength, that's striker play. That's number 9, that's vintage number 9 stuff. And then he has, obviously, the composure, 1-on-1 against Pickford to put it in the bottom corner.
The second goal was a thing of beauty. And I looked at that goal and I said, Haaland's been waiting for that. He's been waiting for that exact ball all season. That is Haaland in his element. That's Erling Haaland in his zone. A perfectly weighted ball that, very few players in the world can execute to that ability like Kevin De Bruyne. Perfectly weighted into space. Haaland's going 1-on-1 with what's his name, Branthwaite. That's his name? I think that's how you pronounce it, Branthwaite. Who's a big Donny himself, man. That Branthwaite, I rate him. I think he's gonna get picked up by a better team soon come, I'd say. But Haaland made him his son, man. Haaland bitched him up, sat him down, composed himself, and took it away on that stronger left foot. So for Haaland to get that ball even was significant, because Haaland will go, we're back. I'm back. If I keep getting service like that, we are cooking. And to be fair, if he does keep getting service like that, Joe, we are cooking.
Yeah, because, I mean, all it takes is one chance. And as long as he picks up his finishing, because before he got injured, there was a lot of people, myself included, who weren't worried, but were like, he's missing a few sitters here. Like, I don't know whether you were in the same boat, but he was at the start of the season. He was missing a few easy chances that maybe last season he would have taken. But if he just, steps up that game, I don't know whether it's like maybe a mental thing of, I've got Kevin De Bruyne back, I'm going to get the ball, let me score a goal. I don't know whether it's maybe something that plays on that a little bit. But if he gets in those positions and he, returns to last season, he's going to stick them away. I'm going to win games of football. I think that's a point that Pep's made in a press conference a few weeks ago now, is that Kevin De Bruyne and Erling Haaland, they don't make us play better. Like, Haaland doesn't make us play better. He just simply wins us games of football.
The second goal is also another example of why Alvarez won't start over Haaland. Like, Haaland has that elite level of composure and mindset to be able to steady himself and tuck it away. I think Alex here says it. Hugh, Haaland's second goal is the perfect example of bigger doesn't mean stronger. So Toby working out so much is pointing. That kind of triggered my thought process anyway, which was Haaland's composure in that situation. It was all it needed, just composure to tuck it away. Whereas for me, Alvarez puts the head down and absolutely rifles it. It may go in the net. I'd give him a good chance of putting it in the net, but I'd prefer Erling behind that.
There's a valid point to be made. There's a valid argument that if Alvarez starts that game and Haaland doesn't play, he doesn't score either of those. Because he definitely doesn't outstrength Branthwaite, that's for one. He doesn't get past him, so the second one's instantly ruled out. But again, like I said, for the first one, good chance he puts his foot through it and ends up going over the bar. So again, like I said, that's why, when people mention Alvarez, it's like, he's a good player, but he's not like good enough to start for us, because he's not going to start ahead of Haaland. And he's not going to start in midfield, because we saw it firsthand. He's just not got midfield qualities.
Exactly. Big up Briggsy says, hello from Denmark. Glad to see you've landed safely in Denmark, Briggsy. And enjoyed the trip. Briggsy is over in Copenhagen for Copenhagen away on Tuesday. I hope you do have a great time. We're 2 likes off the big 50, people. That's absolute 1 like now off the big 50. So one person has to like it and you'll be the 50th liker. And if you want to be a channel member like Briggsy, the link is in the chat now. You'll be joining the HMTV army. You're just massively helping. You'll be a moderator like Briggsy. You'll get a badge beside your name and you'll get access to some of the cool emojis that Joe has made. So yeah, if you want to be a channel member, the opportunity is there. But if not, just subscribe if you are new. So anyway, we beat Everton. There's 75 in the building. Wow. Make sure you've all hit the like button. So we beat Everton and the pressure was over on Liverpool, who did the job over Burnley. I mean, there's no real surprise there, Joe, is there?
No, I don't even know if you want to talk about it much. It was at 3:00, so I didn't watch, because you can't watch.
My boy scored, man. My boy scored.
Your boy did score. He did. He gave hope for 10 minutes.
For those of you who don't know, Dara O'Shea, who scored the goal for Burnley, I used to play with Dara O'Shea. Gaelic football, however, it wasn't actual football. It was Irish football. We used to play. We're the same age, and he scored that bullet header in Anfield. Fair play to him. But yeah, go on.
Yeah, the Burnley gave us hope for about 10 minutes before it all unravelled, and Liverpool made a couple of subs, got a hold of the game. I say hope. I still had very little hope even when it was 1-1, to be honest, because I just didn't see it. I always knew all it took was for Liverpool to turn the screw and they could, hit 3 or 4. That was, no disrespect to Burnley, but in those bigger games, they still keep trying to go toe-to-toe with teams that are so much better than them, and it hasn't really worked out too well for them. I mean, they're, 19th?
Yeah, I feel bad for Vinny, man. He's tried to bring his own philosophy to the league, and it's just not working for him, really, is it? But look, it is what it is. Oh, big up Bevo, man. Bevo with the $4.99 super chat. What a G. Good to see you, Bevo, man. I haven't seen you in a while. He says, HM, my goat KP didn't help himself by doing Amazon documentary before he kicked the ball for us. Needs to do the talking on the pitch. Come on, sit there. Bevo, you absolute legend. Thank you for the super chat, man. Massively, massively appreciate you. Legend. But yeah, I agree. I actually watched that Kalvin Phillips documentary, Bevo, and I was kind of thinking, it's funny, I'm actually watching right now. I'm rewatching The Last Dance, Michael Jordan's Last Dance. Kalvin Phillips was making a last dance before fucking winning anything, before achieving anything, and I was like, okay, I like the guy and I support the guy because he was playing for City at the time, and I wanted him to do well. And I kind of still want him to do well, but we're going to talk about the interview with the Sun. What do you think of that super chat, Joe? I agree with it, man. He never did his talking on the pitch really either, did he?
No, it was a weird one to announce or to do a documentary when he was entering or soon to be entering what would be considered the prime of his career, and also joining, the reigning English champions and soon to be treble winners. Nobody knew that at the time, but he's joining the Premier League champions in, again, what would be considered to probably be the prime of his career, or soon to be entering the prime of his career, pushing one of the best players in the world at his position, or that was at least the aim for him, and he's publishing a documentary, and he's never won a trophy. It was just a little bit weird.
Yeah, it was a bit weird, but we're going to actually, we might as well leave Liverpool for the minute because I actually have nothing more to say on Liverpool other than we'll see. We'll speak soon. Speak soon, as they say. But big up Bevo for the super chat, man. Massively appreciate anybody who sends super chats. You don't know how much it helps. And if you want to be a channel member, the link is in the chat. As always, Joe's going to put it in now. Join the army, man. Join the HMTV channel army for $3.99 a month. Let's have a look at these, because you know what? I actually saved this. I haven't read it. I've heard backlash. I've heard people giving mixed opinions on it, mixed reviews. I haven't read it. I've saved it for this show. I've saved the Kalvin Phillips interview for this show because I wanted to do like a live sort of reaction to it and see what we think. Have you read this interview, Joe? First of all, it's with the Sun, which is never a good idea, but he's done it nevertheless. Have you read any of this?
I have read some, not all, so my reaction is also going to be very raw because I have no idea. But I've read a couple of quotes that people have been kicking off of. I went out of my way to try and avoid it because I don't really want to pay attention to it. But everybody's quote tweeting it, so I saw parts, but not all of it.
Where would be the best place to find just the quotes? I don't want to read the whole article. Would City actually be the best place? Is there quotes there?
I would say so, yeah. I would assume that the quotes are on there. I'll take a look, actually.
Yeah, where's the best place to find just the quotes? I don't want to read a whole fucking Sun article. I don't want to spend too much time on the website.
Or maybe not, actually. I'm not on City Extra. I don't see that. No, they haven't put the quotes on there. Maybe I'll try City Report, see if they have got them. Pep quotes. Rodri. Yeah, there's some Kalvin Phillips quotes on City Report if you want to take a look there. They're from a little while ago. But there's 4 tweets on City Report if you want to go there.
From the actual Sun interview, yeah?
I assume so, yes. They're just quotes from Kalvin Phillips.
Put them into the Discord chat there, and I'll get them up here.
Or maybe
I'm
not.
surprised. Look, I have the actual article here. I'll just scan through it, but basically
they tagged the Mirror, so maybe it's not the Sun. I don't know.
Well, the Sun have it up here, but look, the gist of it is, first of all, he lost his fire as he spent most of his time sitting on the bench. City boss Pep Guardiola shattered his confidence by blasting him for being just 3 pounds overweight. His mum was so upset she stopped coming to games. England pal Declan Rice sold West Ham to him, and he feels alive again. He's not really playing alive again, really, is he, Kalvin Phillips? But let's start with this one. He lost his fire as he spent most of his time sitting on the bench. Look, for those of you who know me, you know I like Kalvin Phillips, and I've always backed him. I've always supported him, even when shit was really going bad for him and he wasn't featuring at all. I always gave him the benefit of the doubt. But to be coming on to the Mirror or the Sun and saying he lost his fire because he spent most of his time sitting on the bench, he obviously went out of his way to do this interview because it's not club media. It's not like a Sky Sports interview. This is one of those ones where you go to the paper because you want to talk about things. That's what happens. That's what Kyle Walker did for his interview. He wanted to get stuff off his chest, so he went to the newspaper to talk about this. So for Kalvin to say this, it's insinuating that it's somewhat not his fault, when the reality is exactly what Iptris says here in the chat. He was never good enough. That's the reality of it. He was never good enough. If you like, it's not. That's not me disrespecting him. He's just not good enough to play for Manchester City, and I don't think he ever will be. Is it a bad purchase on our part? Probably. Do we have many of them? No. I think With Kalvin, we were kind of hoping he'd be like Nathan Ake, purchased for a decent fee from a relegation-bound team. Ake with Bournemouth and Kalvin with Leeds. He has a linear ascent, and he fits in, and he works hard, he knuckles down, and he grows into a great player, like Nathan Ake has done. But Kalvin, look, injuries aren't his fault, I suppose, but he was given opportunities. Whether they're cameos or not, you were given opportunities. At Manchester City, you're not going to be given many opportunities. If you get cameos, you got to use those cameos to show you got something. And he never did. It always seemed like the game slowed down when Kalvin Phillips came on the pitch. It always seemed like things weren't running as smoothly when Kalvin Phillips came on the pitch. I like the guy, but I don't like this insinuation, Joe.
Just want to say a quick big up to your pal Bevo for joining the membership community.
Big up Bevo, man, I'm becoming a channel member. Yeah. And if any of you want to be like Bevo, big up Bevo, man. You're an absolute G. I know Bevo well, man. He's a good guy. And you want to be like Bevo, the link is in the chat now to become a channel member like Bevo. I think we've got 7 now, which is pretty cool. So if anybody wants to be number 8, there's your opportunity. Anyway, Joe, go on. Kalvin Phillips saying he lost his fire because he was sitting on the bench all the time. It almost seems like a cry for pity.
Yeah. And it's not going to fool me because he was given opportunities. Now, to the start of his time, it wasn't his fault as to why he wasn't playing. He had a shoulder injury, he had to have an operation, so be it. But you can't sit there and go, then say he wasn't given opportunities. Like, he was given a fair few. When he came back from injury, he basically hadn't played football for about 6 months because there was a World Cup and he didn't play there either. So he basically he played a few games in pre-season for us, got injured in a charity match and didn't play till the new year. That's basically about 5 months? Let's say give or take 5 months, something like that. He didn't play, didn't train, wasn't able to train. So his opportunities were always going to be limited because you need to build minutes up. And he was already going to have less minutes than he would have wanted because Rodri was ahead of him. It's a no-brainer. Rodri's one of the best in his position. He's the best holding midfielder, and he's fighting with him for position. So his opportunities were going to be limited. Then you cut to the injury, the surgery, and basically having 5 months out. So then you go to his opportunities are going to be even more limited because he needs to build up match sharpness in order to, be able to receive these opportunities. So the first season was all over the place, and some of it wasn't his fault, but the whole coming back from the World Cup and not being in shape, not being, ready to play games, that's on him. That's on him to be in shape for the football. That is completely up to him. Like, he can't, Pep can't control that. He can't, magically make him cut down weight. If he's, not in good enough fitness, that's just totally on him. And that's kind of unacceptable, really, for a professional athlete to not be fit enough. He was hoping to, we all remember, we played a friendly, didn't we, against Girona? Played a friendly. Did Kalvin Phillips play? Like, I don't remember him getting on the pitch. Like, that's shocking. That'd be a game where you look at Kalvin Phillips and go, you've had a tough time, you've had your surgery, here's this game against Girona friendly, no stakes at all whatsoever, going to play you 90 minutes, get your fitness levels up. And he's come back from that World Cup break, and he's overweight, he's not in shape, and he's not playing the friendly, and then when he is trusted to play, he looks slow and unfit, and at the time, I guess we all kind of put down him looking a few steps behind to the fact how he hadn't really played too much. But maybe that's just him as a player. Like, how much time does he need to get acclimatized? Like, maybe he's just physically slow and can't, do the thing that we want him to do.
Guys, we're 3 likes off 60. If 3 of you could hit the like button, we'll smash 60 straight away. The overweight thing, I think he's wrong to call out. The quote is, after the World Cup was probably the toughest. When Pep came out and said I was overweight, he was right to do so, but there are different ways to go about it. No, there's no way you can criticize Pep Guardiola for this. When you're playing for the best manager in the world and the most demanding manager in the world, if you don't fulfill what he expects of you, expect to get blasted to some capacity. For me, when Pep did that, that was not maybe a last resort thing, but a desperate attempt to ignite some fire in Kalvin Phillips' belly and send Kalvin on the right journey in an angry way and get him going. Like, whether it's £3 or it's £300, you are a professional footballer for Manchester City who's just come back from a World Cup overweight. I don't care if it's 3 or 300. You need to be in shape. If there's a weight you need to be at, you need to be at that. For those of you who are old enough, it's not even that long ago, you'll remember Pep did the exact same thing with Aguero at one point. Aguero came back from somewhere slightly overweight and Pep dropped him. Blasted. We won't accept you being overweight. And at this point, Kalvin Phillips' Manchester City career was really becoming in the balance. It was like, right, he hasn't properly featured. He's back from a World Cup where he didn't really feature. What's it going to look like for him now? That was a period where Kalvin Phillips should have come back from Qatar early, like many other players did. He should have come back early to the CFA. He should have been grinding in the gym on his own, doing one-to-one sessions with the coaches, trying to physically get himself primed for the rest of the season. Instead, I'm pretty sure he went on holidays after the World Cup, like the England internationals were entitled to do. But all the England internationals were in different boats, were in a different boat to him. They were all primed. They were all physically in shape. They'd done their season so far with their clubs, and they'd just done a World Cup. They were entitled to it. You were in a different boat. Now, you may say, Hugh, that's a bit harsh, that's a bit unfair, but it's just the reality of it. If you want to cut it for the greatest team in the world right now, under the greatest manager, you're simply living by strict rules, and you have to have a certain mentality of, you're not safe. Just because you've signed a 5-year contract doesn't mean you're safe, doesn't mean you can slack. Just because you've had an injury doesn't mean you can slack, doesn't mean you're safe. He should have busted his ass to get back to the CFA, train, on his own, with whoever. I'm sure there's plenty of one-to-one coaches available in our academy or in the CFA who'd be more than happy to help Kalvin Phillips get himself to shape. Because that second half of the season was there was going to be a few opportunities for him, and he got them, but he never took them, Joe.
Yeah, I mean, the main one that stands out for me, and that stopped us from literally completing football, the semi-final, Carabao Cup semi-final against Southampton away. He had an opportunity, massive opportunity, cup semi-final. Blew it.
Jeez.
Absolutely blew it. I think Rodri was on at half-time. Like, that's how bad it was. That's how bad it was. He got an opportunity. Like, this is why you can't say you didn't have an opportunity, because you did. You started a cup semi-final. Carabao Cup or not, cup semi-final. Half-time subs. Like, that was... I mean, do you want me to read the quotes that I found on City Report? I think it is the same interview.
Go on.
So this is the first one. This is about him being overweight. When Pep came out and said I was overweight, he was right to do so, but there's many different ways to go about it. That's what you said. I did not disagree with him, but obviously it took a big knock on my confidence and how I felt at Man City. I would probably say that. And my family were not happy about it either, especially my mum. People can say overweight. Overweight for some people is like 10 kg. I was probably 1.5 kg over my weight target. That's the first quote. I don't know whether you've got anything to add, but that's kind of what we just discussed. Like, it's his, even if he's like 1.5 kilos overweight, still overweight. He's an athlete.
I don't care if it's 1.5 kilos or 10.5 kilos. If City have set you a physical condition to be in, you better come back in that physical condition. Where we've spent 50 million on you, whatever it was, you're being paid top dollar, and you're talking about and want to work your way into the greatest team in the world. But yet you're not in the physical condition that the club assigned you to be in. That's totally your fault, mate. Am I being harsh here, or is that fair? Like, top of the league says 1.5 kg is a lot for an athlete. That's massive. It kind of is. I kind of agree with that. Bevo says he's ruined any chance of coming back into our team now after that. Pep said he could come back. Pep doesn't give any second chances when players speak against him. I think if there was any chance of Kalvin coming back, this interview is probably blowing that, Joe.
Well, yeah. I mean, there was a very minimal chance anyway, but he's completely thrown that option out the window now. I just highlighted a comment from Benno. Don't talk about that, because he's by the Southampton game, because he got home at 5 a.m. That was a tough one. That was a tough one for a lot of people. The other end of the country, away, like it was like an 8 o'clock kickoff or something. It was late at night. We lost. We barely had a kick against Southampton, who got relegated. That was a tough watch, man. But to continue on, this is about coming back into training early. This is a point you were making. I think obviously Pep was frustrated that I didn't come back into training early after the World Cup, but it was just miscommunication between the people that worked at Man City and myself. I got told to be back on a certain date, and I was always going to go back earlier than that date anyway because I hadn't played that much for England during the tournament. I'd just recovered from my shoulder injury, so Pep wanted me to come in the day after we finished the tournament so I could be involved in the friendlies. I never got that information because if he asked me to have been there, I would have been there.
That's not good enough. Like, what do you think on that?
It's wild, isn't it? That because he did go on holiday, was he not? Did he not go to somewhere in Africa with his girlfriend? They know
He
the
went to
pictures
America
or
or something.
He
I don't know.
He did go on holiday though, didn't he? I am right in saying he did go on holiday after that World Cup, and I don't think he kicked a ball, or he might have played like 10 minutes as a sub. He didn't start a game at the World Cup, and
No.
he got set a target date to return, and he was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna come in early," but like, I don't know, man. Pep wanted him back straight away so he could be involved in the friendlies. That's what I said before, wasn't it? He wasn't involved in the friendly match. He didn't come back soon enough and get himself in shape. Like, he has to realise that he's unfit and rectify the situation. Regardless of being told or not to be told, you're a professional athlete. If you're unfit, you got to sort it out. That's on you.
Mm-hmm. That's kind of what I'm saying. Big up Piplup, man. Piplup, good to see you here. I haven't seen you here before. I know you're over on City Extra a lot. Good to see you, my friend, and thank you for the super chat. He says he just didn't work hard enough at all. Academy players have worked harder than him. I agree with this. Lewis, Bob, Hamilton, what a crybaby, can't handle the heat. To be fair to Piplup there, he's kind of just saying it how it is. Calvin's essentially just saying his feelings were hurt a lot by things that went on in Manchester City. The game time he got, he wasn't happy with, that hurt his feelings. Being called out for being overweight, that hurt his feelings. What a crybaby, can't handle the heat. Piplup's just saying it how it is, man. I have to agree with him, man. Like, by saying he can't handle the heat, that's kind of where I'm at. You sign a contract for currently the greatest club and team in the world, the best players, the best manager. The heat's hotter than it was at Leeds. There's a bigger demand and bigger expectation on you than there was at Leeds. Maybe at Leeds, you could come back from a Euros or a World Cup and be a kilo or two overweight, and they'd say, right, we'll just get you back into shape. We'll help you lose it soon enough. At Manchester City, under Pep Guardiola, we know the expectations and the standards are extremely fucking high. And if you're not meeting those standards, you'll very quickly be told. And it won't be a nice way. You won't be told, oh, listen, you're not really doing it, Calvin, but it's okay, mate. Don't worry about it. No. Pep will blast you. Because if Pep lowers his standards at all, he's not Pep anymore. Pep is as good as he is and as successful as he is because of the standards he has for himself, his players, and his club. And just because your feelings are hurt, sorry, mate, that's kind of a you problem. I like the guy. As a human being, I like him. But is this the kind of mentality I want in my team? No, my team is full of winners. We are winners. You see Kevin De Bruyne and stuff. Look at the level Kevin De Bruyne is at since he's come back. Kevin De Bruyne is playing at an elite level to being 6 months out with an injury. How do you think he's at that? He obviously worked his fucking ass off through his rehab and his recovery to get to this level. You think Kevin De Bruyne coming back from a World Cup would be 2 kilos overweight? Absolutely fucking not, because these are born and bred winners who know what it takes to win. I just felt let down at that point. Like, at that point, I still did like Calvin, but I felt let down. I remember that Girona game. It slipped my mind until you said it there, Joe. I was like, that's a game where Calvin should have been all over that. And we knew he was in Pep's bad books at that point, didn't we?
Brian was on the wall because, again, perfect opportunity. You've spent ages out injured. Come back from the tournament. Come home early. Prove that you have what it takes to play at this level. You're not going to prove it on the pitch, by playing a friendly. Of course not. But it's a step in the right direction to build up minutes, to be able to prove it in the big games. But he didn't do that, and that's just disappointing. And I think Piplup nails it, to be honest, with the whole, Lewis, Bob, and Hamilton. These young players, they work so hard. They get, first team training sessions. They barely kick a ball on the pitch. Like, it takes them ages to get an opportunity, but they work at it. They keep going. They turn up. They take part in first team training sessions. They do what Pep asks them to do. They don't kick off, because if they kick off, they're out the door. And they give it time. Kalvin Phillips just feels like, I don't know, he kicked off. He got his feelings hurt and decided that, maybe the elite level of sport maybe wasn't for him, which, like, I don't want to say it's a knock, because there are so many players in world football who cannot play at our level. Like, this is the elite. This is the highest of, the elite level of football. This is as high as it can go. Treble champions, you cannot get higher than that. So the demand is exceptional. And it's okay if Kalvin Phillips can't meet that demand, because most players can't. But going out the way he's gone out, and then doing an interview and just making it seem like it's not his fault, and it was, this factor, or, it was something out of my hands, or miscommunications, whatever, it's not a good look.
Nah, it's not. I mean, there's Benno now. He says he pissed off to New York eating pizza. Yeah, I thought it was New York. I had a feeling it was New York. There's 80 people in the building. I'm on 65 likes. 66 likes. Let's see, can we get 4 likes and get it up to 70 likes? Rapid. Big up Piplup again, man, for the super chat. Massively appreciate you, brother. We're going to stick the link again in the chat there. If anybody wants to become a channel member, like Benno, like Bevo, like we got Briggsy there as well. If anybody wants to be a channel member like any of them, the link is there for $3.99 a month, and you're just massively helping me and Joe. But yeah, I was just disappointed with Kalvin when I saw this interview. Like, I think you said it. Like, it's no shame to not be able for the elite level of football, but if you're given the chance, give yourself the best chance. And I think giving himself the best chance would have been coming back early at that point. But look, that's ages ago now. Fast forwarded again to even this season. It was this season, wasn't it? Rodri suspended. That was a period where Kalvin should have been like, this was your D-Day. This was your do or die. Remember, we had Newcastle in the Carabao. Stinking. Absolutely stinking. But that was a game where he should have performed and should have got himself in for the game against Wolves. He was so bad against Newcastle, he didn't even play against Wolves. Like, that was D-Day for Kalvin Phillips. So you look at the whole timeline from the time he arrived injured, Qatar comes back overweight, gets a few cameos here and there, never looked good. D-Day arrives this season, doesn't look good. We gave him olive branches. We gave him so many chances, Joe, and he never really took them.
Yeah, another super chat here from Piplup. If you can't handle a manager being honest with you, then you shouldn't be a footballer. Also, Walker has been really good since his interview. I think that kind of it shows the contrast, doesn't it? Everybody was kicking off because Walker did an interview. Since then, he's knuckled down and got on with his football, and he's been performing at the best he's ever, the best he's been performing this season has been after that interview came out. Kalvin Phillips has done an interview. He sat on the bench for West Ham.
Yeah, I think you're right. Like, Piplup, to use Walker in this context, because Walker's a winner. Whatever way you might think about the guy, and his behavior off the pitch, you don't win the amount of medals that Kyle Walker's won and the amount of accolades Kyle Walker has without being a winner. Kyle Walker knows when you're being blasted and you're in the bad books, you knuckle down and you start performing. He's done that. He's been absolutely, like, to be fair to the guy, Joe, you can't argue. Walker's been excellent since that interview came out. Like, I don't know, is it the case for Walker that he just got it off his chest? He feels relieved. But for Kalvin, I don't know, he doesn't come across like he has that mentality.
No. Again, like, he seems to be... Kyle Walker, when he did his interview, it was sort of like let's get it off my chest so I can concentrate on my football. With Kalvin Phillips, it's like, my career's not working out. Here's why I think it's not working out. It's not my fault. It's nothing to do with me. It's like a pity interview. So it's just the complete two different mindsets. I mean, I got a couple more quotes from the interview if you want me to read them out for Kalvin Phillips. Yeah,
big up Piplup for the super chat, brother. Big up, man. Thank you. Go on, Joe.
So 2 more quotes. I just felt like if I wasn't going to play at Man City, I want to go to a club where I'm wanted. Not that City didn't want me, but I wanted to go somewhere where the manager was really keen and where he really wanted me. Quote number 1.
Oh shit, the fuck. Sorry, my Alexa.
Anything to make on that one?
No, it just sounds bitter. It just sounds really bitter.
Like it's the manager's fault. Like he's pinning it on Pep, that it's like, oh, he didn't want me, he didn't play me.
Yeah, he didn't. He doesn't.
And then the final one was, this is I think he's told this story before on a podcast somewhere, but this is a quote from the interview. This is the last one. The Leicester game at home, I made a mistake and I just felt shit, really. I remember going home and just being really upset with myself. It was probably the low point confidence-wise since I'd been at Man City. I think he's told that story before on a podcast on when we beat Leicester at home last season. We were so far clear in the game, he got brought on and he made a mistake. And he said he was that upset that he actually cried when he got home. And I kind of feel bad for him, but again, like, he's not put himself in a situation where he's going to thrive, is he? And it's, again, like, that point in the interview, I guess when you look back at the other points in the interview, he's basically deflecting blame for lack of opportunities, and then when he does get an opportunity, he plays poorly. He's just saying, yeah, like, it was pretty bad for me. Like, he's kind of owning it, but then coming up with an excuse as to why that happened in the first place. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and he rang Bielsa, didn't he? Looking for advice on that. And Bielsa gave him advice, which he obviously never took. Bebo says, within a few months of coming into City, KP did another interview of how he called up his old manager crying. That's the exact same one, Bebo, that we're reading from here. Brack's not doing himself any favours. He's not with his interview, is he? And then Benno Joe Sports Podcast. What does the section said? KP lacks some self-awareness. He's not facing the fact he wasn't good enough. I'm inclined to agree. And you may think I'm being a dickhead saying these kind of things, but I am a Manchester City supporter. I'm not a Kalvin Phillips supporter. I've been supporting Manchester City long before Kalvin Phillips, and I'll be supporting Manchester City long after Kalvin Phillips. And the standards we set under Pep Guardiola are not the standards that Kalvin Phillips met. So he just wasn't good enough. I'm just calling a spade now, Joe.
Yeah, you got to own it. He came in, he, dealt with things that in normal circumstances with the shoulder injury, that doesn't happen. But who's to say that if he doesn't get that shoulder injury, it doesn't pan out the same? Because it was clearly always going to pan out the same with the way, when this interview comes out. That shoulder injury wasn't the reason why everything fell apart. It wasn't ideal, but with the way things happened afterwards, I'm inclined to think that this would have been inevitable, that this was just the way that he carried himself, that this was always going to happen, that the mentality was just wrong, and, he didn't really own it. Like, he didn't own that maybe he wasn't cut out for this level, and there was other circumstances going on. And again, like I said, the point that I make is it's not an embarrassing thing to not be able to play at this level, because not many professional footballers can play at our level. But you've got to at least own it, like understand that maybe it's not for you, and that's fine.
Yeah, if just not good enough footballer, end of. That is it. That is end of Kalvin Phillips. But I suppose using him as sort of a segue for the last sort of 5-6 minutes, Arsenal are making a bit of a racket, aren't they? They're making a bit of a racket that I'll do the super chat first. Big up Piplup with the £2. He says, Hugh, do you still have Gundo over Yaya? Piplup, you don't understand how many people are flaming me. But they're not City fans.
Are they still going? Are they still flaming you, by the way?
Bro, I'm getting flamed for preferring Gundo over Yaya. And I get why people maybe don't agree with me, but to call it as crazy, people to call me crazy for preferring Gundo over Yaya, it's just Gundo just gives me the emotion and the memories. It's simple. Yaya's a better footballer.
We had this conversation, didn't we? We had this, and I agreed with you on this.
Piplup, I'll always have Gundo over Yaya. I believe Yaya was a better footballer, but Gundogan has a better legacy. Is that okay?
That's the agreement we came to, that if you're picking like prime for prime, Yaya Toure shits all over him, because there was not a single thing he couldn't do. But like with the way that it ended at City, and the way that it ended with Gundogan at City, the treble captain, yeah.
Yaya was a bad man. As a footballer, Yaya clears Gundo. But just for Manchester City, all things considered, I give it to Gundo. Captain of the treble winners, all the goals, all the moments, but yeah, I do, Piplup. I do. So Arsenal making a racket that they're back into, were they ever out of it? I don't know, but they had bad form there for a while, and they beat Liverpool in emphatic fashion, and they walloped West Ham today. Is it going to be a long-distance three-horse race? Chat, you get involved in this as well. I want to know what you think. Are Arsenal and Liverpool going to be able to go the full distance with us? Are we going to have a final day of Arsenal, City, and Liverpool? Because right now, Arsenal are looking more convincing than Liverpool, but my head still tells me that Liverpool are more capable than Arsenal, Joe.
My head tells me that Liverpool are going to push us because they usually do when they're in this sort of position. With Arsenal, the one chance that they had to push us, I mean, they threw it away themselves. So, because I think Arsenal's run of games, I'm looking at them here. They got Burnley away, Porto in the Champions League, Newcastle at home, Sheffield United away, Brentford at home, Porto again, and then Chelsea, who we know what Chelsea are like, before they play us. So they've got a really good run of fixtures before they then come into crunch time, which is playing us. And then after that, they've got a decent run of fixtures. So they've got an okay run. And I think Liverpool do as well. So it's a possibility. It all depends on how their Champions League goes. If they make it far, do they get distracted and drop a few points? I don't know. Because that happened to us. That's happened to us before, where we've, tried to, go for everything. And while we've still maybe ended up with the Premier League, like the Champions League has cost us maybe a few points and we haven't won it. It was like a few points for nothing, essentially.
Arsenal are a bit of an unknown packet, aren't they? Or an unknown quantity. How are they going to handle I think they'll knock Porto out. Or at least you'd kind of expect them to, but we've lost ties that you kind of expected us to win, haven't we? So you just don't know. But how are they going to handle the Tuesday or Wednesday weekend type schedule? Big up Benno, man, with the 199. My guy Benno started getting concerned over G&A at Arsenal 3-0. I mean, a 6-0 will it'll help you a lot in your G&A, Benno. It'll definitely help you a lot. I didn't even watch the game. I can't lie, I didn't watch the game. I was watching. What was I watching? I was watching something else. But yeah, the 6-0 will go a long way. I saw Declan Rice's goal, absolute screamer. I don't know with Arsenal. We kind of just have to focus on ourselves, really, don't we? And that's kind of what's worked for us all the time. But we've a big month, man. We've a big month. Like, if we keep winning all our games, and that includes the entirety of March, I really think we could win the league. Not mathematically, but like to the point where we shouldn't slip up by the end of March. Because we could take 3 points off Arsenal and 3 points off Liverpool in March. And then they better not slip up again. I don't know what you think, Joe.
Well, my ideal situation is we keep winning until we go to Anfield. And then we go into that game at Anfield knowing that as long as we don't lose, we'll be top. And then I think if we come out top of the league after we've been to Anfield, I think it takes a monumental slip up for us to not win the league. I really do.
What are the fixtures saying after Anfield? I've got them here. Right, so we got Anfield. You got Brighton away the following week. You got Arsenal at home the week after that. You got Villa at home the week after that. Palace away. It's March, Joe. It's really March. I think if we can get to the Villa game on the 3rd of April, top of the league, I think we should win the league.
I didn't realise Arsenal was afterwards, to be honest. That's why I said it. But if we once we've played Arsenal and Liverpool in the second half of the season, if we're top again, I think it takes a monumental slip up for us not to win.
Well, yeah, the Arsenal game is the last game in March. I think the cutoff point is the last game in March, 31st of March. If we're top of the league after Arsenal at home, there's 8 games remaining, and they're all very winnable. Tottenham away, of course, is always a tough one, but everything else.
Forward to that.
Yeah, I'd like to think that we will go on to win the league. Big up Mohammed, man. Good to see you, Mohammed. I think you're new here as well, but good to see you, brother. I know you're always over on City Extra as well. He said, we need a draw at Anfield and a win versus Arsenal at the Etihad. I'm gonna give you guys my early prediction. I think we're gonna win at Anfield. Something feels different for me this season. I don't know what. I don't know why. I think we're gonna win at Anfield. But a draw at Anfield and a win versus Arsenal. Yeah. Fucking take that, no problem, Joe. As long as that means we're still top of the league, innit? Yeah,
well, the situation stands if we go to... Because we'll have played our second game against Brentford, which will be our game in hand by that point. So we'll all be even on games played by the time that comes around. So we win our game in hand. as it stands, we'd go 1 point above Liverpool. So, we draw against them, they don't gain on us. And we'd end up being 4 points clear of Arsenal with a draw. And then if they play, and they win, that'd be 1 point. So if we win all our games up to Anfield and we draw at Anfield, we will still be top. And then you beat Arsenal, you gain points on them. And then by that point, it's looking good. Like, it's looking very, very good.
Yeah, I would think so. This is all pending we have no slip-ups of our own. And of course, we have Champions League to worry about ourselves. Piplup again with the £2, man. My brother Piplup, man. He says, we'll win the league if we stop playing Doku. I take it you're not a fan of Doku then, Piplup. Look, the way I look at the Doku thing, Piplup, is there's some games he is suited to. And there's some games he's just not. I think Brighton away, Doku could do well because Brighton will play kind of high up the pitch. They come front-footed. But there's games like Liverpool, Arsenal, even Villa. I just want Jack Grealish, but the Jack Grealish situation kind of has me baffled at the minute. I don't know what's going on with Jack Grealish and Pep Guardiola. Doku's young, Piplup. Doku's young and he's a lot to learn. I think people gassed him up too soon, and I never gassed him up. For those of you who watched the Big Six, remember Grizz said on the Big Six that Doku was the best winger in Europe at the time. I said, nah, chill out, man. This guy's new. He's new. He's a lot to learn. But I don't know with Grealish. I don't know what Grealish. What the crack is there. It's a really odd one. It's a really, really odd one. But yeah, big up Piplup, man, and big up Mohammed as well. Joe, stick the link in the chat there for anybody who wants to become a channel member, by the way. We're going to move on to Champions League for the last, I know I said last 5 minutes for what was this? What we're talking about there, the title race, but we're going to talk about Champions League. There's a link there to become a channel member. Anybody who wants to join and be part of the HMTV army, you're just helping out me and Joe massively, and you get a little badge beside your name, and we'll make you a moderator as well as a showing of appreciation. LB1998, haven't seen you here before either. I know you're always on City Extra as well, but good to see some of you guys from City Extra and the Big Six coming over and supporting me and Joe here on our kind of personal channel together, because Joe makes great videos here and we stream together 3, 4, 5 times a week. So it's great to see you guys coming over and getting involved. Just hit the like button, subscribe, and if you want to become a channel member, the opportunity is there. LB1998 with the £2 says the Palace 2-2 really hurt us. We bottled that. Me and Joe were both at that. We were at that together, LB1998, and we both left the stadium. We just went, what was the reaction, Joe? Even like, we were just like, what the hell was even that? What the hell even was
I quickly forgot about the game because my train was fucking cancelled. So my mind immediately left. I got a distraction. I got like a release of I didn't have to think about the game. But yeah, I guess like we were both kind of just stunned because it was last minute and it was that sort of game. Like it felt like it was coming. That last 10 minutes where we couldn't keep a hold of the ball, but I don't think Pep made any changes. It felt like it was coming. It just felt like something was going to happen. Like something big was going to happen.
Yeah, we did bottle it though. Do you know what that was, LB? That was during that period where we were letting teams off the hook. We were just getting ourselves into winning positions and then just going asleep for the last 15, 20 minutes. Now, look, that period in general, it did hurt us. Like, imagine, look, we had 1 win in 6 then and a few draws, didn't we? Imagine we had a one or two extra of those. We'd be kind of clear right now. We'd probably be 4 or 5 points on top of the league, but it is what it is. That's kind of that time of the season form for us, LB, isn't it? It's kind of something that we're accustomed to at Manchester City around that period. But big up for the super chat. Big up for the super chat, man. Massively appreciate you a lot. Champions League is back, baby. Joe, you'll know that saying. You know where that comes from. We're playing Copenhagen away on Tuesday night. Do we retain the Champions League this year? Do we retain the Champions League? Copenhagen stand in the way of us. Or the first obstacle for us to get over. Benno, Lee Gunner is begging Edu to sign Grealish. No, hands off, Lee Gunner. I like Lee Gunner, but hands off. Absolutely not. Big over the super chat, Benno, man. Joe, Copenhagen Tuesday, because we won't be live until late that night. So what are you thinking?
Oh, I mean, what, we're away first. The last time we went away to Copenhagen, it was 0-0. Sergio Gomez got sent off. We missed a penalty. Yeah, I mean, They knocked Man United out the Champions League. They beat them. So, love Copenhagen personally. I mean, there'll be my review tomorrow, but I suppose just quickly, the away game, just obviously don't lose. Worst come situation is lose. Not that it really matters, because if we do lose, I back us to turn it around either way. But, like, I want to see the same thing we did last year in the Champions League knockout stages, where you keep the away games tight and then you'll smash them at home. Because that's how we won it last year. I want to see the same thing.
That's kind of what I was going to say. Just the same as last year. I'd take a draw in Copenhagen and then bring them back to the Eddie. Is the next game, is the second leg the following week? No, it's not. It's
no,
not
they do the round of 16 in staggered, so it'll be a couple of weeks.
Either way, draw in Copenhagen, I'd be perfectly happy, but I'm not trying to overlook Copenhagen because that's disrespectful, but I really feel good about the Champions League this year. I don't know about you lot. I know the Super Bowl is starting soon, so some of you might want to go off and watch that, but I feel good about the Champions League. I really do. I think there's not many teams. I'm looking at Bayern Munich and I'm saying we could steamroll you. We could, as long as we come correct. Real Madrid don't scare me too much. Arsenal, don't know, because it's their first time back in the competition. I think it's actually set up for us to go and win as long as we do what we need to do, Joe.
Yeah, it's literally tailor-made for us, like, in terms of the big teams that would normally... You can't write Real Madrid off, that's the one thing I will say. Regardless of how good or bad their squad is, like, it's not a bad squad, is it? It's Real Madrid, but regardless of, how they're playing, it doesn't matter. You simply cannot write Real Madrid off in the Champions League. But in terms of everyone else, like, we played Bayern last year. I'd be more confident playing Bayern this year. They've just been demolished by Bayer Leverkusen, and their title race looks over. Like, their push for a title looks over. Harry Kane stunk the gaff up in a big game. Like, I'm pretty confident about Bayern Munich. I mean, there's not many teams that I look at and go, over 2 legs, like, we won't be. Like, even when I look at Arsenal, over 2 legs, Arsenal beat us this season in the Community Shield. I discard that. McDonald's trophy doesn't mean anything to me, right? They beat us in the Emirates 1-0. Can they beat us over 2 legs where they have to come to the Etihad? I don't think so. I think over 2 legs, if we were to draw Arsenal later on, I really back, because we've got the experience now. We've got the know-how. The only team that the only 2 teams that I am slightly, like, not looking forward to potentially playing would be, like, Inter or Atletico Madrid, because they just park a bus and it's infuriating to watch. But then, even then again, I'm still confident if we can beat those. It's Real Madrid for me. Those are the main challenges, because it's their competition.
It's not even Real Madrid for me. Over 2 legs, I think we beat Real Madrid. It's Real Madrid in a final. And it's Real Madrid in a one-off game where I'm a bit like, because that's where they kind of spring to life. But I think over 2 legs, we beat Real Madrid. And I think we probably beat them in the Bernabeu this time round. I don't think this Real Madrid team is anywhere near as good as the Real Madrid team of last season with Benzema and that. So, look, we'll have to see. Myself and Joe will go live Tuesday. The game's at 8 o'clock, 8:45, 9:45. I'll do a City Extra review, and then myself and Joe will go live around 10:30, 11 after the Copenhagen game. So turn on the notification bell so you don't miss when we go live for that, to discuss Copenhagen and Champions League and how it all went. But I want to go watch Super Bowl. I'm not an NFL fan, but I'm intrigued to see what the crack is with this and what the hype is around, so I want to go watch it. But we're going to wrap it up. It's been a fantastic, fantastic stream. There's still over 60 of you here in the building. We're on 75 likes. If you haven't done so already, make sure you smash that like button. Make sure you subscribe if you're new around here. I'm going to shout out everyone who's super chatted as well, because they deserve it. Bevo with a super chat. Bevo became a member. Piplup with a load of super chats. Benno with a few super chats. Piplup with super chats. And LB1998 with super chat as well. So all of you, thank you so much. Massively appreciate you. Joe, stick the link in the chat again. As always, if any of you want to become a channel member, part of the HMTV army, for $3.99 a month, you get a badge beside your name. We'll make you a channel moderator as a token of appreciation, and you'll get access to a lot of cool emojis. So the opportunity is there if you want to do so. But yeah, man, thank you all for coming in. I really enjoyed tonight's stream. We do stream, for any of you who are new, we do stream 3, 4, 5 times a week. The Late Night Chat podcast, just a live podcast. Me and Joe kind of talk about whatever. Get you guys involved. So, yeah, listen, we'll see you Tuesday, hopefully after a win in the Champions League. Good night and God bless. Wrap her up, Joy Boy. Enjoy the rest of your evening, people.
Listen to your heart. Tell me who you wanna be. We can always start to believe. Listen to your heart. Tell me that you understand.